All of us are struggling with habits every day. One habit a day, it's so important. This book, they said that, let's convert your podcast into a book. And what I did was I took this opportunity of creating a book, which is a workbook. Let's do one habit a day. 31 habits, that's it. So through a month, you can see that change taking place in your life. The habit of happiness talks about first becoming aware of all the negative thoughts that are going through your mind. Like, this is not going to happen the way I want it. This is not going to be like this. This is not going to be like this. What is the point of doing it? There are many people who say that I've always randomly opened up a book and it's come to something that was useful to me at that particular time in my life. Hello, book nerds. Welcome to the Booknerds Podcast, brought to you by Bazaar. We are here in Bengaluru and in a very cozy setting with the amazing Ashdin Doctor, the habit coach, famously called the habit coach. And I've talked to him about the previous book, the first one. And I'm glad that I'm talking to you again. And for this one, it's right here.
Thank
One
you.
habit a day. It's so important, this book, because all of us are struggling with habits every day. And we were having a conversation even earlier with the awesome Sameer Soni, that he also spoke about how he also kind of delves into that and thinks about that. Okay, let's talk about the book first. Why this book? And you are so prolific these days. You're coming up with a book every 3 months. What's up with that? And a bit of detailing about this book, because how is it different from the first one? Because that had a lot of content to get in one book. So how does one kind of move to this one? Of course, there was another one for children. I forget the name.
I'll tell you all about it. Don't worry.
Cool. Yeah.
So the first book was written as a way of forming habits. So any habit that you want to form, what is the blueprint of forming that particular habit, right? So we had, how do you create intention? How do you follow the 3 golden rules of habit change? How do you deal with this motivation that comes, and how do you let go of motivation? What about all these bad habits? So those that the book was about those
accountability
partners. All of that was part of that book. It was called Change Your Habits, Change Your Life.
Yeah.
So that book happened because HarperCollins came and said that, will you write a book for us? And I said, the book is already written. I'd already finished writing that book.
Yeah.
And then the children's team came to me and said that will you write a book for children, because it is important that children also learn habits. And that was the second book, the Book of Good Habits for Children. Yeah. And it was 8 habits that I felt children between the age group of 6 to 9 need to know. So habits like solitude. How do you stay by yourself instead of just constantly saying mommy, 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 daddy, daddy, daddy? The habit of curiosity. How do you go and learn things instead of just telling your parents why? So how do you actually find answers? Gratitude, very powerful. Money, friendships, all those kinds of things. Then, as you know, I have a podcast called the Habit Coach Podcast. So the Habit Coach Podcast, which is in partnership with IVM. So it's a partnered podcast. IVM got bought over by Pratilipi.
I know.
And Pratilipi bought Westland.
They are our partners as well.
And Westland, Pratilipi partners at Bazaar.
Yeah.
So as a result, what happened was they said that, let's convert your podcast into a book. Because you've come up with 1,000 episodes, you have so much information and knowledge. What if there's a book on this? I said, excellent, but let's figure out how we can do this. Yeah. And what I did was I took this opportunity of creating a book, which is a workbook.
Okay.
So a podcast typically tells you something, you read it, and maybe you follow it, maybe you don't.
That's a choice of an individual, right?
Yeah, sometimes these people listen to it and then forget about it. But the idea of the workbook was that can you actually then, at the end of each chapter, work and write down so that you start making that habit a little bit a part of your life. Yeah. So the original plan was you'll have 45 habits. And then they said, let's do one habit a day. 31 habits, that's it. So through a month, you can see that change taking place in your life. And we decided to create this first book on mental well-being.
Okay.
Emotional well-being. The softer aspects. Normally when people think about habits, it's always like, food, health,
running,
those kinds of things. But in today's day and age, mental well-being is something that is so important. Yeah. Right? Luckily, we are talking about it. 6-7 years ago, we weren't. Yeah. And this book is all about little habits that you can create right now to become more mentally resilient. Yeah. understand the emotions that you're going through, and then take it forward.
Yeah. Awesome. This sounds so awesome because converting a podcast into a book, it doesn't happen quite often. It may be one of the few books that have happened this way. Did you inquire like how many
No,
books
I don't
have
think
been?
there are any books that have done it.
नहीं है मेरे ख्याल में.
No.
I don't think so. It's very interesting because the format, we have seen like audiobooks coming up, but the reverse format, what are the challenges? Because you need to, there is so much information. Damn, 1,000 podcasts. How does one kind of, come down to, okay, of course you had a theme with this mental well-being, but then again, how do you pick the best chunks?
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
So luckily I had the person who was assisting me was a big fan of my podcast, Shubha.
Oh, that's nice.
So
that's always cool.
So she had listened to all my podcasts many times over. So I said that find the best ones that you enjoyed.
You got lucky. You got lucky.
Very.
Yes.
I've decided that I only want to work with people who have the same mindset, right? Who enjoy the self-development thing. Like right now I'm in the process of hiring an executive assistant.
I saw that.
Right? You saw it on Instagram. So I want people who are passionate about this, helping people change, etc. And I think once there's that jugalbandi, life becomes much easier.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. I just noticed the book is folded by, and that page is The Habit of Happiness. Okay. So this is such an underrated thing. We don't talk about it. The habit of happiness. The concept of happiness, we try to understand, although most of us haven't cracked it. It's very individualistic. I don't think so anybody will be able to crack it. But what is this habit? Because this is a new term for me.
So it's very interesting. When I started my own personal journey, I realized that I was going from a place of massive sadness, anxiety, and I gave myself this goal saying that I want my life to be about happiness. And I just randomly said this. And then I realized and I started reading about it and discovering it, obviously the Dalai Lama's book and all of those kinds of things. When I started researching it for the podcast, I realized that the word happiness comes from a Norse word that actually means luck.
Okay.
Haphazard, the part from haphazard. You
So
don't know where it's going to come from.
Coming in Norse mythology.
It's basically figuring out the origins of words, right? Because if you understand the origins of how you use words, you can understand the meaning that they hold in our life now.
You get into the etymology and kind of work backwards that way.
Then you know where it comes from.
Yeah.
And many people believe that happiness is haphazard. It's dependent on your luck. Today I might be happy, tomorrow I might not be happy. If some good thing happens to me, I might be happy. Some bad thing happens to me, I won't be happy. Right? Our mind is preconceived and wired this way. So the habit of happiness talks about first becoming aware of all the negative thoughts that are going through your mind. Because most of us, the negative thoughts are our default thoughts. Like, this is not going to happen the way I want it. This is not going to be like this. This is not going to be like this. What is the point of doing it? And if this is your negative thinking that is coming there, how can you create a positive, happy environment in that state? So the first step is becoming aware of these negative and starting to change the narrative in your own mind.
Okay.
So one of the important parts, for example, the workbook will have a habit, an exercise that will say, like, first identify all the negative thoughts that are normally there in your life.
Got it.
I don't deserve happiness. I don't deserve these things. And then turn it on its head. Is there any truth to this negative thought? Where is this coming from? Where is this belief system coming from? And when you slowly start removing the negative thoughts, you realize that you're left with a whole bunch of positive stuff. And that is where happiness comes from. Because then you look at everything with this joy of positivity. Then happiness is constant.
I am your audience, okay? Because I remember the first time I spoke to you, you were like, dude, just chill out. I was very nervous that day because you are a professional podcaster. And I was like, oh my God, we are going to screw this up. And you told me like, okay, just chill and just enjoy. And we did a decent job. But, this time around, I kind of inculcated that. I thought, okay, I'm not going to be scared of Ashdin. I'm going to do this in a very positive manner. Anyways, enough said about, I wanted to talk about the publishing part.
It's very cute now that people get intimidated by interviewing me.
It has to be, it's cool. It better be. Okay, let's talk about Westland because they have had their own journey. So when they were publishing, were they iffy about this format or it came from them, right?
It came from them.
Okay.
So it came from them, and I think it was a very, very peaceful journey. There weren't too many back and forths on it. The editor, Sangamitra, very good. Edited all the stories to suit the tone.
Yeah.
Right, because these are podcasts that I've done over 7 years. Right, so my tone of voice and my style has also changed over 7 years.
Totally.
So making it feel uniform across.
And the beard
fantastic.
as well.
The beard has gone through different avatars as well through it all. And then the one that you see on the cover is now the final one for the time being.
Yes. It might change.
Might change 100%.
Okay. Let's give a quick message to the readers because this is like a launch before the big launch. So what should the reader expect? Like what to achieve? Because this is a book it's very practical. Just like perhaps a Variku's book. It's very, pragmatic, the second one. So you need to apply it and kind of get into it, get dirty with it. So any message for them? Breaking the fourth wall, talk to them. Yeah.
See, the way that I think about this book is that I've divided it into chapters that you can pick up at any point and read. So you don't necessarily have to start from 0 and complete it at 100. Pick up any chapter, read it. And there are many people who say that I've always randomly opened up a book and it's come to something that was useful to me at that particular time in my life. Use the book that way. Just randomly open it up and read the story. None of them are preachy. They are all in the format of telling you something interesting as a fun fact and then converting that into an aha moment that you would have as a realization, saying that, oh, I didn't realize I'm doing this mentally, or I'm doing this with my daily life. I'm doing this in my relationships as well. How can I start tweaking this a little bit? So start working on it. I think it's going to really help you along the way.
So the book is available on all platforms now?
Amazon as of now, and then it'll be out in the next couple of days everywhere.
Cool. Thank you so much, Ashdin. This is a short one, but we are going to talk to you again, certainly. And shout out to Blend Bazaar for making this happen and the entire team, Razia, everybody, Hari, everybody. And of course, Westland, Pratilipi, the entire group for making the book happen and bringing Ashdin to us in Bengaluru. And till next time, happy reading. And of course, you need to pick up this book and DM Ashdin about.
Oh yeah, I'm available on Instagram. Yeah. Tell me which chapter resonates with you, and I'd love to have a conversation.
And he replies, so yeah, he's very active. So till then, happy reading.